I'm Dennis Munson. I'm the former owner of Linn Star Transfer. We were a final mile delivery company headquartered in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and sold to Forward Air Final Mile in January of 2020 for $57 million.
Thank you, first of all, for the dinner. So I was feeling guilty about, letting you guys do this when I was the one with all the money. But
we were about a roughly $90 million company at the time of the sale, growing at a rate about 15 to 20% per year when we made the decision to sell to Forward Air. My brother Steve started in 1986. I bought in 1991 and then bought him out in 1998. So I guess that was a 22-year period. Oh, the early days, the 4 a.m. phone calls from drivers not showing up during our U.S. postal routes, then getting into jumping out of bed, driving our U.S. postal contract, coming back into the office, trying to run then a delivery company, and then going back into a U.S. postal truck till 7, 8 o'clock at night. And multiple days of that. Those are fond memories now, not so much at the time. So I was fortunate enough to surround myself with really talented people that kept me out of trouble with, for every good idea I had like 3 bad ideas. Fortunately, they never let me go too far down the road with those bad ideas. But the industry was changing, and we had to, it was to a point we needed to do one of 2 things. We either needed to get much, much larger very quickly, or we needed to find, an exit strategy. And having spent the better part of my working career getting myself out of debt, the idea of leveraging to do, say, an acquisition or 2, as well as the amount of work involved in doing that, as I looked inside myself, I said, I don't think I have it in me to do that. I had met previously, 3 years before, an introductory call with a large investment bank who, made a presentation as to what our value was, how the sales process would go. And so I had a little bit of an understanding of that. At one of the National Home Delivery Association meetings, the people from the Tenney group, Spencer Tenney, was there presenting, and had just happened to end up sitting at a table with him for dinner one night and just talking, getting to know him. And we as a company we were not a large company. We had become some size, but we were middle size, small to middle sized company. I always liked working with people that were used to working with, and maybe of our similar size. And for the Tenney group, felt like that. And the other thing is, relationships were always key to our success, either customer relationships, vendor relationships. And so the relationship was key, and I felt like we would have a very good relationship with the Tenney group. And that's ultimately why we selected the Tenney group to represent us in the sales process. I felt that the Tenney group helped in every step. Initially, explaining the process to my wife, who's not active in the business. I brought her into Franklin, Tennessee to meet with Spencer and Eric, and we sat down, had lunch, and they walked through the process in a layman's terms. That was really helpful for her to have an understanding of that. It was helpful for me as well. I never felt pressure from the Tenney group that, hey, you have to accept what they're asking for. And when we needed to push back on unreasonable things, the Tenney group was there to do that, pushing back for us. They're just really helpful. The attorneys on both sides, there were times I thought this deal wouldn't get done because the attorneys would send the same damn document back and forth and back and forth, and neither one were willing to make changes to trivial items in the purchase agreement. And it's like driving me nuts. And the Tenney group was able to get past the lawyers to the decision makers to get things moving again. That was really helpful as well. They have those relationships with the buyers in this industry, and those relationships are very valuable to you as a seller of your company, because you probably don't have the relationship, certainly not the experience and the credibility that Tenney Group had with the buyers that we talked to. They always were representing me and what I felt my interests were every step of the way, and I really appreciated it. Early on, 3 criteria that I would determine was a successful sale, and I told the potential buyers this, and as we selected one candidate and we moved forward with them, I repeated it multiple times. It served me well, and what I said was, if a year from now, the former Linn Star employees are happy, if the buyer is happy, and if our customers are happy, that'll be a successful sale. But we had a successful sale because all 3 of those things. My wife and I wanted to be able to donate part of the proceeds to some charity causes that we had very strong feelings about. We were able to do that. Because of the pandemic, the traveling that I had hoped to do has been put on hold for a year now, but that's in the plans for this next year. I had already started through some investments looking at being on the buy side of mergers and acquisitions, and more as an investor, not as an operator. That's really accelerated. And we have 6 grandchildren that live very close to us, that are between the ages of 11 and 5 years old. We're going to spend a lot of time with those grandchildren.